Hey everybody, I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. I own Choice Tax Relief. We help and represent folks who owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or to their state. And today I'm taking a look at IRS Letter 3172. This is a scary one, but don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll know how to tackle this. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you what IRS Letter 3172 is, why the IRS sends it out. We're going to go over it here. It's only one page here on my screen, part by part. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what you should do if you've received IRS Letter 3172. First of all, what is IRS Letter 3172? Well, it's a notice of federal tax lien filing. It is a notice from the IRS to you, not that it's going to file a notice of federal tax lien against you, but that it has filed a notice of federal tax lien against you. What is a notice of federal tax lien? Well, it looks a little something like this. This is simply a document that's recorded at your county recorder's office. In this case, for our client who's in Houston, Texas, it was recorded at the Harris County County Clerk's office there in Texas. And so it's a document recorded in a public record, county recorder's office, that you owe the IRS money. Okay, and the crux of it is here. There is a lien in favor of the United States on all property and rights of property belonging to this taxpayer for the amount of these taxes and additional penalties, interest, and costs that may accrue. So it's basically putting the world on notice that you owe the IRS money, right? And it's indicating the notice as this amount here. I'm probably gonna create a separate video going kind of part by part over the notice of federal tax lien. But, just for purposes of understanding what Letter 3172 is saying, Letter 3172 is saying the IRS has filed this form, 668YC, in your county clerk's office. Okay, that's what this is. Why is the IRS no? Well, let me tell you. Why doesn't the IRS? Why is the IRS notifying you? Because it has to. I'm looking at Section 6320 of the Tax Code, the Internal Revenue Code, which says the Secretary, meaning the Secretary of the Treasury, by extension the entire Treasury Department, by extension the IRS, shall notify in writing the person described in 6321. And if we go to 6321, that is the person liable for taxes who hasn't paid it, against whom a lien is filed in favor of the United States. Okay, so that's basically the taxpayer here. Okay, so 6320 says the Secretary shall notify in writing the person described in Section 6321 of the filing of a notice of lien under 6323. You go 6323. It's basically just describing the procedures for filing the notice of federal tax lien, right? Kind of how to do that, what form to use. They have a standardized form, of course. So anyway, it's saying back in 6320 that the IRS has to notify the taxpayer that a lien has been filed not more than 5 business days after the day of the filing of the notice of lien. This notice has to be either given in person, left at the dwelling or usual business place of such person, or, as is more commonly done by the IRS, sent by certified or registered mail to such person's last known address. So they're giving you this notice of federal tax lien filing within 5 business days of actually filing the lien because they are statutorily required to. Okay? You may ask, why doesn't the IRS warn me before they're going to file a notice of federal tax lien? Well, the answer to that is that if they did, people would probably rush. Let's say they gave you a 30 days notice or something. People would probably rush to maybe quick sell their property or something like that, within the next 30 days before the lien is filed, in order to escape the repercussions of having that notice of federal tax lien filed against them. right? So this is not a warning letter. We're going to file notice of federal tax lien. This is a notice to you that the IRS has filed a notice of federal tax lien against you. And not only that, but this is also a notice of your right to a hearing under IRC 6320. Now, if we go back to 6320, now we're going to look. So A is the notice requirement, right? Right? Notice of federal tax lien filing, that's the notice. If we go to B down here, right to a fair hearing, okay? So that's what this 3172 is also telling you. It's telling you that you have the right to a collection due process hearing as required by IRC Internal Revenue Code Section 6320B. If the person requests a hearing in writing and states the grounds for the requested hearing, such hearing shall be held by the IRS Independent Office of Appeals. Okay? So, in a nutshell, IRS Letter 3172 is a notice that the IRS has filed a tax lien against you and that you have the right under IRC 6320, okay, to a fair hearing regarding the filing of this lien. Okay. That's what this 3172 is. That's why the IRS sends it, basically because it has to. Now let's go bit by bit here and talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. All right. So, right here, dear you, this is you here. We filed a notice of federal tax lien, and they're going to give you the date they filed it on. All right. And they're going to show you the amounts that are on that notice of federal tax lien filing. They'll also give you a copy of it here, right? You can say that these amounts here match, well, they don't total it for you, but the 10340 here matches a 10340 here, the 55912.42 matches the 55912.42, and so on and so forth. Type of tax, that's basically the code section or the tax form to which the tax relates. This particular taxpayer, they got a Section 6721 penalty for not filing W-2s for their employees for the 2022 tax year, which was assessed in 2025, and they got charged a $10,340 penalty. They also have payroll tax issues, Form 941. If you're, individual income tax, this would be like 1040 right there is what this would say, and these would obviously be calendar year ends, et cetera, et cetera. This is basically showing you the amount on the lien. Now, there's this blank space here because this could go many, many lines for people who owe for many, many periods. So kind of moving beyond this section here to these paragraphs down here, which are important to read. What's this first one talking about here? It says, please contact the person whose name and telephone number appears on this notice to obtain the current amount you owe. Additional interest and penalties may be increasing the amount on the lien shown above. Okay. So, all this is saying is the amount up here, this is the amount that you owed when on the date the lien was filed, right? In this case, February 20th, 2025. Additional penalties and interest may accrue beyond this date, okay? And what this is telling you to do is to get that amount, right, your payoff amount, you should contact the person whose name and telephone number appears on this notice, right? So that's this stuff up here. I redacted it, right, because this is an actual client notice. I don't want people spamming the IRS employee whose name appeared here with their phone number, et cetera, okay? But to get the payoff amount, you can call this person in the lien unit. By the way, that's what this CCPLU is, Centralized Case Processing Lien Unit. That's what that means, and that person's name would also appear here, as well as right here. I redacted it just for the sake of their privacy. All right, now let's go to the second paragraph here. It says, a lien attaches to all property you currently own and to all property you may acquire in the future. It also may damage your credit rating and hinder your ability to obtain additional credit. So make sure you understand this, okay? What is this lien attaching to? People think, oh, they filed a lien against, the IRS filed a lien against my home. That's not exactly a true statement, because they're not just filing it against your home. They're filing against all your property, including your home, right? All property currently owned, and to all property you may acquire in the future. Okay, so that's a pretty bad gig. Now, this sentence here is a little bit misleading, where it says it also may damage your credit rating and hinder your ability to obtain credit. Okay, notice the date down here. The last revision date for this was in March 2009. In 2018, the three credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, got together and said, hey, we make so many mistakes when it comes to reporting tax liens on credit reports. We're not going to report tax liens on credit reports anymore, and tax liens are not going to affect your credit score. So this statement, it also may damage your credit rating, is, in my opinion, misleading. That said, the lien is public record. Lenders may be spooked off by the lien, not want to loan you money, particularly if it's a secured loan we're talking about, like a mortgage. So yes, the notice of federal tax lien may hinder your ability to obtain additional credit. It's not on your credit report anymore. However, it's still public record and can be found out with a lien search, which, if you're going to buy a house or refi or anything, they're definitely gonna do that. All right. So next paragraph tells you have the right to a hearing, right? Because part of this is the notice of your right to a hearing. With us to appeal this collection action and to discuss your payment method options, to explain the different collection appeal procedures available to you. We have enclosed publication 1660, collection appeal rights. You must request your hearing by March 31st, 2025. It's like 30 days from after the 5-day period after the lien is filed, right? Date is very important here. You'll have to complete the 12153. I'm going to make a whole video about the 12153 here in the near future, kind of best practices for filling that out. It's a relatively straightforward form. So you got to complete it, sign it, send it to the address indicated at the bottom of your 3172. Okay, this section here is probably the most important part of this whole thing. There's where you complete your case, work something out potentially with the IRS to get them to get rid of the lien. Okay, at that hearing there. Now, I'm gonna make a whole video about CDP hearings and how to request one, the 12153. So sit tight on that. Okay, this second page here, and sometimes they send this out, sometimes they do not. But it's about how the IRS can revoke your passport. They don't always do that, but if the IRS has certified your tax debt to the State Department, they won't let you get a new passport or renew your passport. Okay, if your debt exceeds a certain amount. Now, currently, if your debt has not been certified yet before the current amount is $62,000, that'll probably go up later this year. Basically, if you owe more than that amount, and if the IRS has filed a lien against you for the debt, which it has here, and you've exhausted your administrative appeals options, like the CDP hearing, for example, to contest that lien, then your tax debt is fair game for the IRS to certify to the State Department, which means you're basically now on a naughty list with the State Department of seriously delinquent tax debtors, or people with seriously delinquent tax debt, and the State Department won't renew your passport or won't give you a new passport, and in some circumstances may even revoke your passport. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So, if you have international travel plans, not a thing you really want to deal with. I made a whole video about the passport thing. Link to that video at the top of the screen. I'm not gonna dwell on it here because I've already covered it elsewhere. All right, and they're just saying, look, we will issue a certificate of release of the notice of federal tax lien within 30 days of you paying the full amount of your debt, of them accepting a bond guaranteeing payment of the amount you owed, or decisions made to adjust your account. There are, and they include the instructions on how to do that. There are other ways to get the lien released, okay? For example, you can get that balance down below $25K get on a, actually, I'm kind of now getting into what to do. But yeah, I mean, really, one thing to do here, let's back up. Okay, there are other ways to deal with the lien and get rid of it. Okay. But the first thing you got to do, now we're moving into what you should do if you get this letter, is to determine whether or not the lien even matters to you. If this tax debt is going to drop off or you're going to get into a resolution for it, they don't got to worry about the levy. Now just consider, okay, well, what about the lien? Understand how long it's going to be until you pay off your debt through your payment plan or until the tax debt drops off. And think to yourself, am I planning to sell this house, the house I live in, before then? Or am I planning to buy a new house? Or am I planning to refinance right before then? If the answer to those questions is no, 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 the notice of federal tax lien may not even have any practical effect. It might kind of neither be here nor there for all practical purposes. So that's really something to think through. Now, if the lien does matter to you, if you're like, oh crap, I was going to sell this house, but now there's this tax lien, what am I going to do? Well, in that case, if paying the full amount of your debt is not an option, and nor you think there's going to be a huge adjustment in the appeals hearing, one thing you can do is pay your balance down below 25 grand, get into an installment agreement that pays the debt within the earlier of 60 days or when the tax debt drops off, make 3 consecutive direct debit payments under that installment agreement, okay, and then request the IRS withdraw the lien using form 12277, okay? That's one way to deal with it, all right? So, but folks, you really got to make sure that the lien even matters to you, first and foremost, before you start pulling your hair out over it and start negotiating with the IRS about it. Anyway, folks, that's IRS Letter 3172. If, like I said, I'm Logan Alec. I own Choice Tax Relief. If you owe the IRS or your state at least $10,000 or more, or you have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, you qualify for a free consultation. Please give us a call here at Choice Tax Relief, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. I have some other videos here on the side of the screen for your education and enjoyment. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.